Hello everyone, I am Ajay Murkute, Department of English, Arihant College of Arts, Commerce and Science. So today in this class we will see the semester syllabus, first semester syllabus for you. So you have choice based credit system which has 70-30 pattern, paper pattern. 70 marks for the semester end exam and the 30 marks for the internal evaluation, which means this evaluation will goes throughout the first semester. So for this syllabus you have the textbook called Success Avenue by the boards of editor by the Orient Blackstone publication. So there are some objectives of the syllabus which we can see as follows. A. To offer relevant and practically helpful pieces of prose and poetry to students so that they not only get to know the beauty and communicative power of English but also its practical application. B. To expose students to a variety of topics that dominate the contemporary socio-economic and cultural life. C. To develop oral and written communication skills of the students so that their employability enhances. D. To develop oral linguistic competence and communicative skills of students. So now we will see the semester 1 prose section syllabus. Unit 1, The Beggar by Anton Chekhov. Unit 2, Black Money and the Black Economy by C. Ram Manohar Reddy. Unit 3, The Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. Unit 4, Mohammad Yunus and Economics for Peace by Farida Khan. In poetry section, you have two poems. Unit 5, Uphill by Christina Rossetti. Unit 6, Stay Calm, Granville Glaser. In communication and life skills section, we have three units. Unit 7, Meeting and greeting people and dialogue writing. Unit 8, Group discussions, interview and interviewing skills. Unit 9, the presentation skills. So now we will see the unit 1, The Beggar by Anton Chekhov. About the author. Anton Chekhov was born into a family of modest means and peasant ancestry. But he received a good education, studied medicine at Moscow University, and graduated as a physician in 1884. He helped support his family by grinding out hack short stories for newspaper publication. After he began writing more serious and more artistic stories, he gained the attention of public and the critics. Today he is recognized as one of the world's most important writers. Now we will see the characters from the short story and its short introduction. The first, Lushkow, the beggar who lies about his plight to arouse the sympathy of lawyer and thereby get a handout from him. Scaveto, lawyer who refuses to give Lushkow a handout but lets him work for money. Olga, Scavato's cook. When Lushkow comes to chop wood for Scavato, she becomes the beggar's supervisor. Van drivers, workers hired to transport Scoto's furniture and other passions after Scoto decides to move. They laugh at Lushkov, who is to assist in their elocution when he merely stands around trying to keep warm. Colleague of Scoto, the person who gives Lushkov work copying documents. Notary, the person who hires Lushkov and pays him a salary of 30 rubles. Introduction of the short story. The story is about a prosperous advocate, Scoto, and a beggar, Lushkov. The advocate is a kind man. He helps the deprived beggar to come out of his miserable life and live like a respectable person. But in the end, he discovers that he was not the actual beneficiary but his ill tempered cook, Olga. Now we will see the detailed storyline of this short story. So we will get the broad idea of this short story. St- Scovato was a well-to-do advocate. One day, a beggar came to his door. His name was Luskov. He was wearing a fawn-colored tattered overcoat. He had dull, drunken eyes. He had red spot on either cheek. The beggar said that he had been a village school teacher, but he had lost his job. He had no money, and so he was forced to beg. Scoto recalled that he had seen the beggar the other day in another street. There he had said that he had been a student who had been expelled. He was angry with the beggar for telling a shameless lie. He threatened to call the police and have him arrested for trying to cheat people. For a while, the beggar stuck to what he had said, but soon he broke down. He admitted that he had been telling lies to make people take pity on him. In fact, he had been a singer in Russian choir. He was a drunkard and had been dismissed. Now he had no work to do and no way to support himself. He lived by begging. Scoto told him that he must work to earn a living. Scoto pleaded that he was willing to work, but no one offered him any work to do. Scoto asked him if he would chop wood for him. Lushkov had to say that he would. Scoto called his cook Olga. He told her to lead Lushkov to the woodshed and let him chop wood. Lushkov followed Olga unwillingly because he don't wanted to work with the Scoto. In fact, he had never meant to chop wood, but he had been trapped by his own words. Scoto hurried into the dining room. From there he watched the cook leading the beggar to the woodshed. She opened the door of the woodshed. She flung an axe down at his feet. He lifted the axe and hit a piece of wood irresolutely. It was a feeble effort. Scoto was sorry to have said that menial work to that drunkard beggar who was not fit for that work. He came back to his study. After an hour, Olga came in. She told Scoto that Lushkov had chopped the wood. Scoto was pleased. He gave her half a ruble of for Lushkov. He said that if Lushkov desired, he could come to chop wood on the first of every month. Lushkov came to chop wood regularly on the first of every month. He was always given work and he earned a little money every time. When Scoto moved into another house, he asked Lushkov to help in packing and hauling the furniture. He hardly did anything. He walked behind the wagon hanging his head, but Scoto believed that he had done his job well. He gave Lushkov a ruble. Lushkov knew how to read and write. Scoto gave him a letter and asked Lushkov to go to a friend who would give him some copying work to do. Lushkov went away and he never came back again. 2 years passed. One evening, Scoto saw Lushkov at the ticket window of theatre. He was well dressed. He was buying a ticket. He told Scoto that he was a notary and got 35 rubles a month. Scoto was delighted because he had been able to push a deprived beggar on the right path. Lushkov thanked him for his kindness because he had pulled him out of a sinking pit. But he said that the true credit for changing him went to Olga. Naturally, this surprised Scoto. Lushkov explained that he had never chopped a single piece of wood. Olga chopped the wood for him and gave him the money. She would chide him. She would tell him that he would go to hell. There was no hope for him. She wept for him. She suffered for him. Her words, her sacrifice, and her suffering for him had an inexplicable influence on him. He began to change. He stopped drinking. He was grateful to her. He could never forget to her. He would never forget to the Olga because of her influence and in his success. So this leads to the end of the summary of the story. So now we will see the story, the style of the story, and the narration of the story. As in the other short stories he wrote, Chekhov assumes the role of a third person narrator who reports the details of a simple plot as if he is a witness observing the scenes and listening to the characters. He does not enter the minds of Lushkov, Scoto, or Olga to report their thoughts. Rather, he allows the characters, actions, and the conversations to reveal their personalities and feelings. Chekhov also presents the setting and the events as quite ordinary and unenthusiastic, even though what is taking place appears extraordinary in the same way. The writing is to a point, avoiding excesses in description and striving always to present a realistic and truthful portrayal of life in Russia. So now we can see the effects of alcohol in this story through the character of the Lushkov. Lushkov began to reform after abandoning his vodka habit, which was the agent that sank him into the abyss of poverty, indolence, and beggary. Vodka was first produced in Russia in the 14th century. Russians of every era after that time turned to it to soothe their pain and banish their worries. It was a friend when the world had become the enemy. So you can see the climax of the story in a short. The climax occurs when the Lushkov reveals that it was Olga who chopped the wood and inspired him to reform. But Skoto doesn't know this reality, and at the end of the story, he got to know this reality. So, so what is the theme of this story? What is the broad area where you can see this story? We have the theme of change, dishonesty, alcoholism, kindness, compassion, desperation, struggle, selflessness, and last but not least, gratitude. Luskow, due to his alcoholism, is no longer able to work and has to resort to begging in order to survive. So here are some words which you need to know the meaning. So you will read this. You can read this afterwards. So here are some questions which you have to give. Here are some questions you have to give the answer of these questions, and you have to write down into the notebook and write down the answers of these questions. Has Lushkov became a beggar by circumstances or by choice? So this is a very simple question. Second one, what reasons does he give to Scovato for his telling lie? Third question, is Lushkov a willing worker? Why then does he agree to chop wood for Scovato? Fourth question, Scovato says, I am happy that my words have taken effect. Why does he say so? Is he right in saying this? So you have to justify these sentences through the answer. Question number 5. The Lushkov is earning 35 ruble a month. How is he obliged to Scovato for this? So these are the initial small answer question you have to write down, and we will discuss it in the next lecture. So here are some references for this book. Prescribed Text, Success Avenue, a board of editors by the Orient Blackstone publication, and the Wikipedia page of the Anton Chekhov. So you can go through the history and search little bit more about the Anton Chekhov. Thank you. Thank you very much.